What's up, guys? This is Brandon from Poolvolution. Today I got another review for you, and the brand name we got today is Jandy. This is a VS Plus 2.7 DV2A pool pump. Now I'm going to start telling you guys, I'm starting to fall in love with Jandy, so this is going to be a good review. So if you're looking for anything bad or negative, you're probably just going to want to exit out, because I'm going to tell you something about Jandy today, and you might even learn something. So check this out. Jandy says this is the intelligent pump design VS Plus HP. It's a high-performance, energy-efficient pool pump in a mid-sized body that reduces energy costs by over $1,100 versus a single-speed pool pump. Okay, so I don't know if they mean that by a year. Most likely it's within a year, but I don't know. Don't quote me on it. Don't take me to the courthouse over it. All right, so this is designed for feature-rich pools. The VS Plus HP is engineered with an enhanced motor providing dual voltage capabilities and 2 auxiliary relays. So now what do they mean about that? Well, it's dual voltage, so it can handle 115 volts or 230 volts, and it's auto sensing. That way the motor is going to see what it's got and you don't have to do anything else. So that's what they mean by auto sensing. You just wire it up and the motor's going to see what it's got and go from there. The auxiliary relays makes it real cool because you don't need a time clock or anything. So say if you have a salt system, you don't need a time clock. You just hook it up to auxiliary relay 1 or auxiliary relay 2. It tells you when those relays are going to close once that pump gets to that RPM or above, and you're good to go. No more time clock. So you can hook that up with a cleaner booster pump or a salt cell or whatever the heck you might need it to do. So that's actually pretty cool, because no one else that I know is doing that with pool pumps. Also, it being 2.7 horsepower and it being dual voltage, I don't know any other pump that does that, because usually you have to have a lower horsepower to do dual voltage because of the amperage that's involved. So there are a lot of things on this pump, meaning communication. What are you hooking the pump up to? Is it going to be a time clock? Is it on automation, or do you want just to control the pump via cell phone? These are all the options you can have with this pump. So we're going to get involved with all that as we speak right now. So the first thing is this is compatible with the Jandy automation systems. If you are going to do, say, a time clock per se, you are going to want to purchase the separate display that comes with this pump, which is Jandy's Pro Series JEP-R pump controller. And that's what you're going to use if you're going to be on a time clock per se and you're not going to be on automation. Also, if you don't want to use this display and you are on a time clock, you can use the IQ Pump 01, which is the mobile interface for the variable speed pump, and you can use your phone, set up daily filtration schedules, and you can also do things with it at the actual control by the pump. This is through Wi-Fi and through their iAqualink app, so it makes this pretty cool. So you really don't need the display controller. This is basically the way to go. So I'm going to circle back because this can get very confusing, and I want to make this very clear on how this pump operates and the options available and how this works. So the first thing you're going to do is throw power to the pump, and that is here. And like I said before, it's either going to be 115 volts or 230, and it's auto sensing, so you don't have to worry about anything else other than that. It is labeled with a line 1 or a line 2 or neutral and a ground. So once you do that, you are going to want to make sure that it is constant power. When I say constant power, I mean it's going to be always constant power. No switching mechanisms from a relay or a time clock or anything of that sort. It's always going to be powered on. And also always by GFCI protection. And over here, basically, these are basically just a relay and 2 relays. So basically, these are basically light switches on and off. And how the light switches turn on is by when the pump reaches a certain RPM or higher. So auxiliary 1 will engage at 1725 RPM or higher, and auxiliary 2 will close at 2250 RPM or higher. So why would you want this option on a pump? Well, let's do a salt system, for example. Say this pump is running constant power, and originally you were on a time clock to where you had a single speed pump And when that time clock engaged, it turned on the single speed pump and it turned on the salt system. Now that we are running constant power to this pump, you would have to set the time on the timer for the salt system to correspond with the time set for the variable speed, either by your JEPR controller that we talked about earlier, or the IQ pump 01 with the Wi-Fi and the featured app system. So this basically makes you, instead of using two timers, which would be the pump times and the time clock, you can just use this, and it just makes it a lot more easier once you have it wired together. This does not provide power, so it's just like a light switch. You have to get the light switch power, and then on the load side, once it engages, it will send power to that piece of equipment, like a salt system or a booster cleaner pump and things of that nature. And over here, well, they call this the dry contact. And basically, if you take a piece of wire from the COM to number 1, that is a certain RPM. If you take it to COM and jump it to number 2, that's another set RPM. So what's this option for, and why would you want to use it? Basically, the only thing I can think of are two reasons. You need the pump to run, and whatever you were using it to control it is not working at the time, and you just need to run the pump until you get that fixed. Or, which most likely why they engineered this, is for automation systems that are not compatible with this pump. So if you have a couple extra relays, you could get some speeds out of this thing without having to upgrade your automation. So let's use an example. You bought this pump and you are on a older automation system, say either Pentair or Hayward. And basically all you're going to do is you have a filter pump relay already available, so that's one speed. And then if you have an additional relay available, that will be your second speed, and you're going to use that to jump circuits basically for a set RPM. So on these dry contacts, they already are to a set RPM, so you can't change the RPM, but depending on what RPM you want, that's how you're going to jump it, by using a relay. Check out the user manual and you'll be able to see a better diagram about exactly what I'm talking about on here. So that's a great option, especially when you come to this pump and there's an automation system that's not compatible with this pump via the RS-485 connection, which we'll get into. But that is pretty damn awesome. All other pumps have starting to come out with this technology the same way as well. So it makes it pretty cool, because it's basically they're making it into a universal pump. Therefore, if you get on the job site and you're like, damn it, no more damn it's, you'll be able to figure something out, because we're getting involved now with this variable speed technology, and not everybody's going to be able to afford the automation, the new automation upgrade. Therefore, you can still use their existing automation by using those dry contacts. So let's get on to the RS-485 comms, and I'll tell you all about that. And over here is the RS-485 connection. Now, what would you use this for? It's basically if you're going to hook up to automation using Jandy's automation. Accordingly, if the firmware allows it to, that's what you are going to use. Also, if you aren't on automation and you are going to buy one of those optional controllers, which is like the JEPR controller, or you want to use the Wi-Fi, the IQ Pump 01 kit, and that's where you're going to hook things up to get that stuff rolling and going. Now, that's the only time you're going to want those two options, is that that display or the Wi-Fi kit option is basically when you're not on automation and you want to be able to control the pump some way, somehow. So those are your two options, and Jandy doesn't give you a display right out of the box. Reason being, you don't always need a display, and it all depends on the job. So if you're already on automation, you're not going to need a display. If you aren't on automation, then you are, but then you got your two options. So you want Wi-Fi, or do you want an old basic display controller and do all your options through there? So I like that because they give you more and more options. I like options. And over here are your dip switches. So basically, the only time you're going to use this is when you are on automation system with Jandy, and you are on multiple variable speed pumps. That way, the system knows which pump is which. You know, if you got 7 pumps on a system, or even 2, 3, you are going to want to the iAqualink automation from Jandy Zodiac. They are going to want to know which pump is which. So is pump address number 1 filter pump is pump address number 2 a water feature, and and then pump address number 3 and so on is that a spa booster pump and stuff in that nature. So that's how you do the pump addresses when you have more than 1 variable speed and you are on the Jandy automation. So this thing's got everything. So it's pretty cool. It's a little bit different than what I'm used to because around here we use a couple other brands, but I installed this thing and I love it, and I will start installing these things. I've been in this industry for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with this pump. I actually do like it. It's just a little bit different and not what I'm used to, but I was able to install this thing in no time flat. And I learned a lot of great things and features that this pump has that the other things that I'm used to installing do not. So this is a great option for me in my business and things to come, because there's things like with the Auxiliary 1, Auxiliary 2. I'm used to having to run a time clock on timers, and then having to set the timer on a pump as well and get those things synced up and things like that in that nature. So Jandy took some time on the engineering and listened to us about what the things we were having with installing these pumps, especially to the older systems with this new technology. So it makes it very nice, and I like everything about it. Super quiet. Sorry I didn't put the sound in here too much on the pump while it was running, but it's very quiet. It's just as quiet as anything else, if not actually quieter. And that's the only thing I can say about this. Nothing bad about this pump. So hopefully I get something else that I don't like, but this pump is awesome, and this pump I will definitely be using it because of its options that it has that the other competitors do not. So if your pool guy is trying to install this for you, go ahead and let them. And that's the one thing about Jandy also that I love. They are not online, and they do not condone online sales. They want professionals dealing with this, and only professionals to be able to buy this equipment, making sure that the pool industry stays professional. If you were to support this brand, you should do it by that alone, in my opinion, until the other competitors follow suit. If not, you should do it because this is pretty good high quality stuff. So check with you guys later. You got any questions or anything, comments down below. Give me a like, subscribe if you found this on YouTube, and hey man, thanks for watching, guys. I always do this just for you guys, and this takes a lot of time, so I hope this helps someone out, and just wanted to tell you guys thank you for watching.